How's it going? Welcome to part 5 of the Falcon resto. In this one I'm going to start doing some rust patching. Check it out. My aim is to get all the body done and start taking the doors off. This here is a file belt tool. It's got a bit of 80 grit on it at the moment. It's become one of my favourite tools because it's perfect for getting into little grooves, just like in this window. So tricky to weld in this window channel because it's all full of lead, and I want to keep as much of the original lead in there as possible. But yeah, it's tricky because as soon as the welder comes in contact with it, it just doesn't like it. I don't think I managed to record it, but I absolutely annihilated my finger on these little window studs. They are such a pain in the ass to rub around, but they're so important too because they hold the chrome mold in that goes all the way around the window. Quarters, roof, rear end, and bottom half of that window, all done. Now I'm going to decide whether to do the sills or the doors next. I am fresh off the Christmas break and I'm ready to get stuck into the driver's side sill and these lower doors on the XR. This is a nice straight edge. You can see, hopefully it shows up, it's a bit bananaed. Got a rust bit there, there. So yeah, before I even think about taking these doors off, I'm going to straighten that edge up. So there's a little bit of mucking around, but I've now got myself a nice consistent gap between the bottoms of these doors and the sill panel. And now I can take these doors off and start repairing those up. Yeah, check it out. I'm about to take this rear door off, but before I did, I had one last little tweak at all the gaps. Took some metal out of that corner, and I'm going to add a little bit of weld here where it meets the front door. What I used to sand down that door edge after hammering it up and get it all nice and flat was actually a flappy wheel on the grinder. It's an 80 grit. The more that I dig into this car, the more impressed I'm getting. Still got to go over it all with a clean and strip wheel, but yeah, check it out. The usual spots that normally rust out in the corners and that, they're all intact, they're all solid. I am officially happy with how this driver's side's turned out. I have spent a little bit of time tweaking some of these gaps and edges. Main areas were around here, this area here. I've got them all nice and level and straight and flush. Ignore the fender. I still need to get myself a cage nut to bolt that up properly, but I've got the doors lined up with the sill, with each other, with the quarter panel, so that's a nice good base. This rear door here is going to be a bit tricky. The gap is all over the show. Wide up the top there, skinny down the bottom. It lines up pretty good with the front. Do a bit of tweaking. I'll probably end up cutting that edge there where I've marked it. Maybe even weld that gap up there a bit. Yeah, I'll have a play around, see what I can do with that one. So that's just a little bit of grinding and sanding, but you can already see massive improvement already. So what I might try and do is just move the door back a little bit so we can close that top gap up a bit. That was a huge muck around, but I've finally got these doors, and more importantly this rear door with a decent enough gap that I can work with now. Very similar to the other side, I've got to fix this top edge here to make that line up with the quarter panel. And got a fair bit of rust here on this corner of this front door. I'm about to get stuck into this driver's door. I have a rust patch ready to go. I've marked it out on the door, ready to be cut out. My plan is to tack weld this in, just so I can keep my nice gap, take the door off and finish it off the car. Rust patch tacked in, folded the lip over, kept my gap all nice and straight, so time to rip the door off and yeah, finished off on a panel step. Driver's door done, and on to the next panel. This morning I am tackling the sill panel on the XR Falcon. I'll show you what I'm up against with my trusty ruler. So we've got a nice dent there, a couple of rust holes, nice one there, another rust hole at the back. What better way to tackle an old school car? And I'll use an old school dent puller. This thing is so sick. The way it works is like super simple actually. You use these little studs, drop it in the top here, and they weld onto the car. That ring around the end here, that earths out on the car, ends up welding the stud to the car. You then use this slide hammer tool to lock onto that stud and pull the net out. So let's get stuck in. that there, that was pretty well it. Super straightforward little tool. And it's all come out nice and neatly. Sometimes the studs themselves, they can actually break off and leave the head still attached to the car, but they're super easy just to grind away. So, on to the next one, and get it ready for bog. Back at it after being sick for a couple of weeks, and today I'll be mucking around with this boot lid because I'm not happy with the way it sits. Too sure how much that I managed to film, but today was all about getting some boot gaps. It was extremely fiddly, but now I've got some good stuff happening, and I'll be able to actually finally start properly repairing the boot lid. I will be wrapping up this video here. I have a HQ wagon to help prep and get ready for paint over the next few months or so. Made it this far. Thank you so much for watching. Yeah, pretty much got all the body, the doors, the boot lid all done. So all that's left is the panels on the front end and start prepping for primer.